So the topic is debt capital. This should be topic number 6, which is debt capital. And we are saying that the introductory part, introduction, is that debt capital refers to borrowed money that is at work in the business. Borrowed money that is at work in the business. Companies have an implied power to borrow, guided by the following rules. 1, borrowing is not prohibited by memorandum of association and articles of association. 2, assets of the company can be charged as security for the amount borrowed. 3, borrowing can be done at the commencement of business. 4, borrowing power is exercisable by directors and AGM. Borrowing must be from authorized sources only. So those are the rules that guide borrowing. Then from there we have personal guarantees from directors. Personal guarantees from directors. Personal guarantees from directors. And we said this is where directors and or members, directors and or members agree to repay a loan. Agree to repay a loan out of their personal wealth. Out of their personal wealth, should the company default on the debt. Out of their personal wealth, should the company default on their should the company default on the debt. The aim is to protect the lender. The aim is to protect the lender. The aim is to protect the lender by preventing the shareholders or members, preventing the shareholders or members from hiding behind the protection of limited liability. Hiding behind the protection of limited liability. First of all, personal guarantees are used where semicolon, and point number 1, the lender is very powerful, e.g. a bank. the lender is very powerful, e.g. a bank. Two, the borrower has no other source of funds available. The borrower has no other source of funds available. No other source of funds available. Now, ordinarily, we know that the company should borrow on its own behalf, and in case it has defaulted, the members can only be called to pay up to their liability. But we are saying here there are instances when the shareholders or even the directors or members can guarantee that in the event the company fails to pay, we will pay using our personal money. And this is used in situations where the person giving the money is very powerful, especially a bank. Banks are able to dictate these terms. And one of the reasons why banks will be very powerful is what we have quoted as number 2, that you have no other source. Actually, when you have no options, you become so powerless. A person who has options has a lot of power and can never be oppressed. That's why when I'm in another area of when we are doing other things in class, I keep on advising my students that you should always look for options. Ensure that you have options. There are only 2 areas where you should not have options. One is matters your God. Thou shalt not have another God. And number 2 is matters your spouse, if you are married. If you are married, matters your spouse, and unless you convince me your culture and religion allows for more than one spouses, these are the 2 areas. But these are the areas you should have what? Options. You will be able to bargain and people cannot oppress you. But the moment people realize you have no option, then you done to their rating. Good. Let's now look at company debentures. Company debentures. Company debentures. Company debentures. I will write that a debenture is a written acknowledgement. A debenture is a written acknowledgement. Written acknowledgement of a debt. Of a debt by a company. By a company. Normally containing provisions. Normally containing provisions as to payment of interest. Normally containing provisions as to payment of interest and repayment of the principal. And repayment of the principal. Stop. It can be issued as semicolon number 1 a SIGO debenture. SIGO debenture. Roman 2, a series of debentures. A series of debentures. Another one is a stock. Is a stock subscribed to. Subscribed to by subscribed to by a large number of lenders. A large number of lenders. So that is what we call a debenture. It is simply a document that shows that the company has borrowed. And this document at least should show two main things. It should show us how the interest will be paid and how the principal will be paid back. And we are saying when you're issuing a debenture, you can give as a single one, or you can give a series. You give one today, tomorrow, another one the other day. Then you can give as a stock. Earlier on, I had given you an assignment to check the meaning of a stock, and if you did, you realize that a stock is simply a combination of shares. So when we combine the debentures and we issue them as one, that is called a stock debenture, and it is subscribed to by several lenders. Okay, characteristics of debentures. Characteristics of debentures. One, it must be registered within 2 months of issue. It must be registered within 2 months of issue. Within 2 months of issue. Number two, each should be numbered. Each should be numbered, or each is numbered. One, contains a printed statement. Contains a printed statement of terms and conditions. Of terms and conditions. That is repayment of interest and principal. Repayment of interest and principal. Number three, or number what? Number four, shows the type of charge. Shows the type of charge. That is fixed or floating. Shows the type of charge. That is fixed or floating. Another one. The holder has a right to appoint a receiver. The holder has a right to appoint a receiver. And the other one is that the holder has no voting rights. The holder has no voting rights. The holder has no voting rights. So those are the characters that you observe when you look at the debenture, and we are saying it must be registered within how many months? Within 2 months, it should be registered. It should be registered with the registrar. Each debenture, especially the ones that are offered in series, but this applies to all. They should be numbered. The terms and conditions must be well specified. It should tell us whether we have a fixed charge or a floating charge. We'll be discussing the two in a while as we go by and by. It should also contain the rights of the debenture holder to appoint a receiver. A receiver is a guy who is appointed to manage the asset on behalf of the company and the receiver and the lender in the event that the lender thinks that the company is misusing the asset to the disadvantage of the lender. Then we are saying a debenture holder has no right to vote because he's not a member of the company. It's just but a lender, just but a creditor. Higher advantages of debentures. Advantages of debentures. Advantages of debentures. Number one, they offer a lesser risk to investors. They offer a lesser risk to investors since the rate of interest is fixed. Since the rate of interest is fixed. Number two, they do not dilute control. They do not dilute control of equity shareholders. Of equity shareholders. Since they don't vote. Since they do not vote. Another one is that they are less costly compared to preference. Less costly compared to preference or equity capital. Or equity capital. Since interest payment on debentures is tax deductible. Since interest payment on debentures is tax deductible. Tax deductible. Another one is it is most appropriate when sales and profits are stable. It is most appropriate when sales and profits are stable. So we are saying that when you issue debentures to the investor, it is a lesser risk because the rate of interest is fixed. That means it's guaranteed he will be paid his interest compared with other investments. They do not dilute the control of the company. Remember, we have said they are not members, therefore they don't come in to vote. And that means we are able to borrow, but we retain control of our company. The other thing is they are not very expensive when you compare them with the preference share capital, the equity share capital, because their dividends and even their interest are not tax deductible. But the payment of interest on debentures, you deduct before you compute or before you arrive at what we call taxable income. And the reason or the advantage is it makes you to pay tax on a smaller amount. So the tax you end up paying is less. So it's a saving to you. And we are also saying it is most appropriate when you are doing well. When the company is doing well, you need to borrow on such because once you get the money, you refund, they go away, and you are left with your company. But when you are not doing so well, then that's when now you invite guys to come and become shareholders. Disadvantages. 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 Number one, they reduce borrowing capacity of the company. They reduce borrowing capacity. Reduce borrowing capacity of the company. Number two, payment for redeemable debentures. Payment for redeemable debentures. Payment for redeemable debentures must be made. Must be made. Must be made even when the company is struggling financially. Must be made even when the company is struggling financially. Even when the company is struggling financially. Another one is, it is a permanent burden. It's a permanent burden on the earnings of the company. Permanent burden, the earnings of the company. Another one is that holders can appoint liquidators or receivers. Holders can appoint liquidators or receivers, which is not good for the company. Appoint liquidators or receivers, which is not good for the company. Okay, so those are some of the problems you find with debentures. One, we are saying they reduce your borrowing capacity. When it comes to rating, you cannot just go borrow without the approval or without the knowledge of the debenture holders. So that means your borrowing capacity is weakened. And then you must pay them, especially the redeemables. Whether you have money or you don't have, the interest must be paid. Therefore, it becomes almost a permanent burden, a very regular burden to the company. And again, we are saying these guys, they have the right to appoint liquidators. In the event they sense that you're not doing so well, they will learn to court and get liquidators who will come and liquidate the company or take control of the company for a while, which is not very good for the company. Now, from there, let's discuss classes of debentures. Classes of debentures. Okay. Are you okay?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so then we can continue. Secured, that's the first type. Secured. We note that these are secured by some charge. Secured by some charge on the property of the company. On the property of the company. The charge on mortgage, may be fixed or floating. May be fixed or floating. May be fixed or floating. Number two, unsecured. Unsecured stroke naked. Unsecured stroke naked. And write that these are not secured by any asset of the company. These are not secured by any asset of the company. First of all, the holders are just like ordinary unsecured creditors. The holders are just like ordinary unsecured creditors. Number three, they are called registered. Registered. And write that these are payable only to a registered holder. These are payable only to a registered holder. That is one whose name appears. One whose name appears both on the debenture certificate, both on the debenture certificate and the register of debentures. Debenture certificate and the register of debentures. We stop still on the same point. They are transferable just like shares. They are transferable just like shares, but must be registered. They are transferable just like shares, but must be registered. Number four is unregistered stroke bearer. Unregistered stroke bearer. These are payable to the bearer. These are payable to the bearer. And transferable by delivery. And transferable by delivery. Transferable by delivery. So, a bona fide transferee. A bona fide transferee for value, bona fide transferee for value, is not affected by defect of title. It's not affected by defect of title of the previous holders. Effect of title of previous holders. Number 5, we have redeemable. Redeemable. And write that these provide full payment of the principal amount. These provide full payment on principal amount. On principal amount on a specified date. On a specified date. On demand. Demand or notice. On demand or notice. Number 7, not number 6. Number 6, irredeemable. 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 Okay. The date for payment is not indicated. The date for payment is not indicated. Full stop. Holders cannot demand payment. Holders cannot demand payment as long as the company is a going concern. Holders cannot demand payment as long as the company is a going concern. Number 7, they are called convertible. Convertible. And write that this contain a provision. This contain a provision of being converted to ordinary or preference shares. The provision of being converted to ordinary or preference shares. Ordinary or preference shares at a stated rate of exchange. At a stated rate of exchange. The rate of exchange. Number 8 is debenture stock. Debenture stock. Debenture stock. And write that this refers to borrowed capital. This refers to borrowed capital that has been consolidated into one mass. That has been consolidated into one mass. Consolidated into one mass. So those are the various categorizations that we have when we are talking about debentures. We are saying they are those which are secured. By secured, we mean there is a particular asset that is attached to that. and we'll be discussing more. But for now, I can still say that the meaning is the holder of that debenture has the right to sell that asset in case the company defaults on the loan. Now, unsecured, that's also known as naked. You just give your money, but it is not based on any asset of the company. It's not based on any asset. So wakikataa kulipa, there is nothing much you can do. Registered is the one that is registered with the registrar and even with the company. And we are saying this one is payable to the person whose details appear both in the certificate and in the register of debentures or debenture holders. The opposite of that is what we are calling the unregistered or the bearer. Anyone holding it and presenting it to the company, they will be paid. And even if you had acquired it or it had been acquired through fraud, but you have paid value for it, you still get your money because it is a bearer debenture. Redeemable, these ones, they provide a specified time that by this date of this year, you will have repaid the amount fully. And when now you repay, the debenture is no longer binding to you. And that can be either on demand or even notice. The irredeemable, those ones, we do not specify when we shall pay. It is a question where give me money, I will decide when to pay you. I don't know when I'll pay you. They are called irredeemable. And as a holder of this irredeemable, you are not supposed to go to demand to be paid, not unless you have solid conviction that the company is coming down, so that you are fearing that if they don't pay me in the next 1 month or in the next 2 years, they will have closed down and I'll lose my money. Convertible, you can convert them to shares, ordinary or preference. Stock, as we had said, it is what is combined. Let's now look at similarities between shares and debentures. Similarities between shares and debentures. Similarities between shares and debentures. Number one, issued in a series or a class. Issued in a series or a class. Number two, long-term investments. Long-term investments. Number three, issued by a prospectus. Issued by a prospectus. Another one is issued at par or premium or discount. Issued at par or premium or discount. Another one is can be redeemable. Can be redeemable if stated. Can be redeemable if stated. Another one is transferable in a similar manner. Transferable in a similar manner. Another one, quoted at stock exchange. Quoted at stock exchange. Another one, used to raise money for the company. Used to raise money for the company. So those are the similarities that you find when you do a quick comparison between shares and debentures. We are saying both are issued as a series or a class. Remember, we have just looked at types of debentures, and some of those types are similar to the types of shares that we discussed. The redeemables, the convertibles, the stocks, the preference, the ordinary, all those. So the issue is that we have classes, we have series in both. They are both long-term investments. It's not an investment that you want to recoup within a period of 1 year. Then when it comes to issue, you can issue at par, you can issue at a premium, you can issue at a discount. Although, remember we said discount is not usually very free, but I think we gave some conditions at which you can still use discount. We are saying that they are transferable in the same way. So the manner in which we said shares can be transferred, applies to debentures. Both are quoted and traded at stock exchange, and both are mediums of raising money. Let's now look at differences. Differences between shares and debentures. Differences between shares and debentures. We can have several of them in the tabular. Starting with the share here, and then a debenture here. And point number one is that holder is one of the owners. It's one of the owners. But for the debenture, holder is one of the creditors. Holder is one of the creditors. Difference number two is that they are usually non-repayable. They are usually non-repayable during the lifetime of the company. During the lifetime of the company. For the debentures, they are usually repayable. They are usually repayable. Point number three, the income or dividends, are not certain. Are not certain. Are not certain. But on the other side is that income or interest is fixed and certain. Is fixed and certain. Number three or number four, holder has no rights of a member. Holder has no rights of a member. No rights of a member. But on the debenture, we write that most of the rights are restricted. Most of the rights are restricted. Point number five is that they obtain payment after all outside. They obtain payment. After all outside creditors have been paid. After all outside creditors have been paid during winding up. During winding up. But on the other side, they rank first during, or they rank first for repayments. They rank first for repayments. Rank first for repayments during winding up. During winding up. Number 6, for the shares not secured against any company asset. Not secured against any company asset. But on the other side, for the debenture, they are secured against company assets. Secured against company assets. So those are again the differences that you note, that the shareholder is one of the owners of the company, but the debenture holder is a creditor, is not an owner. Although we are using his money, he's not one of the owners. Then the shares, once you make an investment in shares, hautarudishiwa pesa yako as long as the company is a going concern. What you shall be getting is what we call the return in the name of dividends. But for the debenture, because in Delhi, they must repay you finally. They must repay you finally. Even if it is irredeemable, at least there should be some payment of the principal in a particular way. And that payment is, the return for the debenture is called interest. And we have said that interest is fixed and it is certain. But for the shareholders, it is not a must to get the dividends. Actually, there are even times when the company has profits and they choose not to declare dividends, but they request that that money be used elsewhere. That money be used what? Elsewhere. Like what I've seen Centum, they have done, they have made profits. And yesterday, I think they had a meeting and they agreed that instead of paying dividends, they can use the profits to buy back. We say shares can be bought back, to buy back some of the shares. And this is to help some of the shareholders who have been willing to sell their shares in the stock exchange, but they are not able to sell because the economy is not doing well. So this shareholder is left now cash strained or cash trapped. So the company has come in and said, anyone who is inside and they want to sell their shares, we are going to buy them back. Then the other one is they obtain payment. Remember, when we talked about the shares, we used the word residual, the ordinary, and I said that's why they are called ordinary. They are the ones who rank last. Everyone else to be paid and they go. Then whatever remains is what we shall be paid. But for the debenture holders, they rank at the top. Any money coming in, once we pay them until we are satisfied or we are able to settle the account. Then the shares, you don't attach any assets. But for the debenture, there are assets that are attached. Now, there is this question of November 2020, question 7A. I'd like you to look at it. November 2020, question 7A. Let's look at it.
Hey, you can be going. Oh. Mana kuna huko kama mjane gani au unafanya unene kwa tena ni
Okay, how have you seen it? Is it answerable? Are you able to answer that question? November 2020. November 2020. November 2020, question 7A. Question 7A, it said, Baridi Limited intends to expand its business by diversifying into other forms of business. The management of the company has resolved to start production of instant coffee. The management is contemplating on whether to issue shares or debentures. Now advise the management of Baridi Limited the disadvantages of debentures over shares as a method of raising capital. So did we discuss disadvantages of debentures? Yes, they reduce the borrowing capacity, they must be paid, there's a permanent burden, the holders can appoint who? The liquidators, and they are also secured against what? The assets, as in they can sell our assets or they can put some restrictions. So you can be able to argue from that perspective. Okay. Let's proceed now and look at something known as debenture trust deed. Debenture trust deed. Debenture trust deed. Debenture trust deed. And we write that this is a document created by the company This is a document created by a company whereby a trustee is appointed. Whereby a trustee is appointed to protect the interests of debenture holders. To protect the interest of debenture holders before the debentures are offered. Before the debentures are offered for public subscription. For public subscription. Trustee can either be an individual. Trustee can either be an individual a bank, an insurance company, or any other institution. Or any other institution. Or any other institution. Full stop. The main contents are one, the appointment of a trustee. The appointment of a trustee. Full stop, but still on the same point, you write that the company appoints the first trustee. The company appoints the first trustee. The company appoints the first trustee. But the debenture holders appoint. But the debenture holders appoint any replacement. Any replacement. Number two, the nominal amount of the debentures. The debenture. The nominal amount of the debenture. The nominal amount of the debenture. Number three, terms and conditions. Terms and conditions. Terms and conditions of payment for interest and principal. Terms and conditions of payment for interest and principal. Number four, type of charge. Type of charge. Number five, powers of the trustee. Powers of the trustee. And the last one is method of redemption. Method of redemption. So those are the contents that will be found in a debenture trustee deed or trust deed. Remember, we have said these debentures are rendered to the company. And when you give people money, they may choose to mismanage. So what happens to enhance security of your money? You can have a trustee. Now, a trustee is a person who will oversee your interest in the company, who will be there, who will have more rights or will have more access to information than you have. Now, that is done using a document that you're calling a trustee deed. And that deed should contain these 6 things. It should tell us the appointment procedure, where we have seen the company appoints the first one. But in case later on we need to replace, it is the debenture holders to decide on who takes over. The nominal value of the debenture, the terms and conditions, how the money will be paid and when, the type of charge, whether it is fixed on, floating, the power that are available to the trustee, what is it that you can do and you cannot do, and the method of redemption. Let's look at advantages of a debenture trustee deed. Advantages of a debenture trust deed. You have issued this deed. What are the advantages? The advantages of a debenture. One, pressure from the creditors is removed. Pressure from the creditors is removed. Pressure from the creditors is removed. Number two, the trustee can intervene promptly. The trustee can intervene promptly. Another one is that all the debentures can be given to a single trustee. All the debentures can be given to a single trustee. Number four is that holders of debentures enjoy. Holders of debentures enjoy the benefits of a legal mortgage. The benefits of a legal mortgage over the company's land. Legal mortgage over the company's land. Number five is upon redemption. Upon redemption, the company can keep the debentures. The company can keep the debentures alive. The company can keep the debentures alive for purposes of reissue in the future. For purposes of reissue in the future. For purposes of reissue in the future. Let's look that number 6 is less costly. Less costly. Less costly. Let's look at a few disadvantages of a trustee debenture trust deed. Disadvantages of a debenture trust deed. One, the creditors are not obliged. The creditors are not obliged to accept the proposal to create are not obliged to accept the proposal to create a trust deed. A trust deed. Number two, it may affect credit rating negatively. It may affect credit rating negatively. Another one is that it is binding to the company. It's binding to the company. Another one is that the trustee can claim new assets. Trustee can claim new assets. So we are saying when you have given this trustee deed, one, the pressure from the creditors is removed. So you don't have to keep on answering very many and at times irrelevant questions from the creditors, wondering whether you still pay them, whether you have the ability to pay them. You only now deal with the trustee. The other thing is that the trustee can intervene promptly in case the trustee senses that the company is out to con the creditors or to do something to the disadvantage of the creditors. The trustee can come in immediately and care for the or take care for the interest of the creditors. And we are saying it can also be combined. It can be a stock. We give it to one trustee, which is an advantage. Although on the other side, it can be a disadvantage when we have one person being in charge. The holders, they enjoy the benefits of a legal mortgage on the company land. So what goes with a normal mortgage? As in, if you are not able to pay the mortgage, the mortgager or the person who has given you the mortgage can come and possess the land or the house, so the holders enjoy such rights. And then when you have redeemed, you can still keep them active, hoping that in the near future or whatever future, you will be able to reissue them. And we are also saying that they are not very expensive when you compare with other mediums of security. But on the flip side, the creditors are not under duty to accept that proposal, so they can refuse. And more so the existing creditors, they can accuse you of trying to show preferential treatment to the new creditors. Remember, a debenture holder is a creditor. So if us, we have been with you, we gave you our money and you never gave us a document, a binding document. And there are some new fellows who have come to give you the same money, and now you want to show them that there is more trust. We can refuse. We can accuse you of being unfair. The other thing is it may affect the rating of the company negatively, which is not very good. And I think we have seen one of the disadvantages of debentures is that they reduce the borrowing capacity of the company. It's like the CRB. If you go for CRB, your borrowing capacity is reduced. It is a document that is binding, and you know in this life, it's not very good to go making binding contracts. It's not very good because you may not always be able to satisfy. So you always be in quarrels with people accusing you of breach. And these fellows can claim new assets. When you acquire new assets, they can come and claim. Now let's look at the past papers, one or two questions. The paper of May 2021. The paper of May 2021. May 2021, question 4. Question 4A. 1, inasema in the context of death is on page 14 of the hard copies. huko at the top. Inasema in the context of debt capital, outline 6 terms contained in the debenture trust deed. The terms that are contained. 1, tumesema it shows the appointment of the trustee, who should appoint who. Number 2, tumesema it shows the nominal amount. 3, it shows the terms of payments of interest and principal. It shows the type of the charge. It shows the powers of the trustee. And it also shows the method of redemption. So those are the contents of a trust deed. Let's go to May 2018, question 2A. May 2018. May 2018. Question 2A. Roman 2, with reference to debt capital, Roman 2, explain 4 contents of a trust deed. The contents of a trust deed, we have given 6. Tumesema it shows the appointment of the trustee, shows the nominal value, it shows the terms, it shows the type of charge, it shows the power of the trustee, and it shows the method of redemption. September 2015. September 2015, question 4A. September 2015, question 4A. That one I captured wrongly. Question 4A. I think that is captured wrongly. Or my paper does not have September. This one that I'm holding does not have. Oh, it has, eh? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Page 33, yeah. When debentures are offered for public subscription, the company usually enters into a trust deed with trustees. List 6 contents of a trust deed. 6 contents of a trust deed. Good. Let's look at something else known as pari-passu. Pari-passu. Crabs. Pari-passu crabs. I write that this is a statement mentioned on the back of the debenture. Is a statement mentioned on the back of the debenture document. The debenture document. Debenture document. Or in the trust deed, all on the trust deed, stating that each debenture of the series issued, or the series, each debenture of the series issued is to rank equal. Is to rank equal as regards charge. Is to rank equal as regards charge and repayment. And repayment with the others of the same series. With the others of the same series. In the absence of this clause, in the absence of this clause, the debentures will be payable according to the debentures will be payable according to the dates of issue, according to the dates of issue, all consecutive numbers. The dates of issue, all consecutive numbers. All consecutive numbers. Consecutive numbers. So what we are saying is when you issue debentures in a series, today you have issued this one, tomorrow another one, the other day, and they are charged. You need to include this statement that all the debentures in that series or in that class, they rank equal. When it comes to payment of the interest, when it comes to the charge on the asset, they rank equal. Otherwise, if that clause is not included, either at the back of the debenture document or in the trust deed, then you'll find that the debentures will be payable depending on when they were issued. Obviously, the first to be issued should be the first to be paid. Good. The next thing that we need to look at is register and index of debenture holders. 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 And write that. This is required to be maintained. This is required to be maintained at the registered office. At the registered office. Failure to which the company lists a fine of not exceeding 1 million. Company lists a fine not exceeding 1 million. First, not exceeding 1 million. The contents of this register are number one, name, address, and occupation of each debenture holder. Name, address, and occupation of each debenture holder. name and address of each debenture holder. Number 2, number of debentures held. Number of debentures held by each debenture holder. By each debenture holder. Number 3, amount paid. Amount paid or agreed to be considered as paid. Amount paid or agreed to be considered as paid. Or agreed to be considered as paid. Number next, date when the name. Date when the name of the debenture holder was entered. Date when the name of the debenture holder was entered. Another one is date when a person ceased from being a debenture holder. Date from when. Date from when a debenture, a person ceased from being a debenture holder. So we have said date from when a person ceased from being a debenture holder. That's a minute. We have said date from when a person ceased being as debenture holder. And the last point, number 6, is edicts. Edicts if the debenture holders are more than 50. Edicts if debenture holders are more than 50. Okay, there is a question of November 2015, question 5B. November 2015 is at the end, page 35. November 2015, question 5B. November 2015, question 5B. Inasema in relation to a debenture trust deed, explain 5 advantages of a trust deed. Those ones you already have checked. And part 2, outline 6 particulars of the register of debenture holders. Register of debenture holders. Good. So I think those are clear. The next is rights of debenture holders and others to inspect the register. Rights of debenture holders and others to inspect the register. Inspect the register. What are the rights? How do you go about inspecting this? Inspecting this. Point number 1. Point number 1 is that the company shall ensure that the register is available. The company shall ensure that the register is available for inspection. That the register is available for inspection during ordinary office hours. The register is available for inspection during ordinary office hours. Number 2, the company shall within 7 days of receiving 7 days of receiving a request and payment of any fee provide the person with the required documents. Provide the person with the required documents. Point number 3. A request to inspect the register should state the following. A request to inspect the register should state the following. Roman 1. Name and address of the natural person. Name and address of the natural person. Name and address of the natural person. Number 2, name and address of the natural person. Name and address of the natural person making request on behalf of a legal person. Making requests on behalf of a legal person. On behalf of a legal person. Number 3, purpose for the register. Purpose for the register and the information. Purpose for the register and the information. Roman 4. Whether the information obtained will be disclosed to any other person. Whether the information obtained will be disclosed to any other person. Any other person. Number 4. So we are now in number 4. Those were the points of number 3. Yeah? So we are now in number 4. Point number 4. A company shall not keep its register closed. A company shall not keep its register closed for more than 30 days in a year. Its register closed for more than 30 days in a year. So that is about the right to inspect the register, and I think it is very clear that the register should be kept in the company's office, and then within 7 days after the request has been made and they have paid the relevant fee, you should provide the documents to them. And when it comes to the request, they should be able to state 4 things. 1, if it is a natural person making the request, they should give us their name and detail. If they are requesting for their own personal use. But if they are requesting inspection for on behalf of a legal person, they should tell us. You see, like what was happening with the IEBC the other day here. The Supreme Court ordered IEBC to open some boxes. So Supreme Court is a legal person, IEBC is a legal person. But it is not Supreme Court that went to IEBC. It is a natural person. The registrar who went to IBC to check. So this registrar should write to the IBC that I am making this request to inspect your boxes, to inspect your books on behalf of the Supreme Court. And then you should tell us, why do you want to inspect our books? Why do you want to get the register? What is the purpose? Are you interested in giving us money? Are you interested in investing? What is the purpose? And then you should tell us, will you disclose this information to someone else? Because there could be instances whereby person A desires to know our information. but he knows we cannot allow him. So what he will do, he will send person B to come on his behalf. So this person B should tell us that after I acquire this information, I will thereafter go and tell person A. Then the company is at liberty to decide whether they want their information to go to person A. And if they don't want, then they have all the rights to deny inspection to person B. Other rights available to debenture holders. Other rights available to debenture holders. One is right to sue. Number two, right to apply for a closure order or a closure order. Apply for a closure order. That is, restrict the company from selling or redeeming the assets or an asset. Restrict the company from selling or redeeming an asset. Selling or redeeming an asset. Number three, right to appoint a receiver. Right to appoint a receiver. Another one is right to petition for liquidation. Right to petition for liquidation. The next thing is inability to pay debts. It's not a right, now it's something small that we need to discuss. Inability to pay debts. Inability to pay debts. Ability to pay debts. And we write that a company is considered unable. A company is considered unable to pay debts. Pay debts under the following circumstances. To pay debts under the following circumstances. One, a debt of Kenya shillings 1,000. A debt of Kenya shillings 1,000 remains unpaid for 3 weeks after demand. A debt of Kenya shillings 1,000 remains unpaid for 3 weeks. Remains unpaid for 3 weeks after demand. For 3 weeks after demand. Number two, a court order to make payment has not been honored. A court order to make payment has not been honored. Court order to make payment has not been honored. And the last point is a court is satisfied. A court is satisfied that the company is unable to pay its debts. The court is satisfied that the company is unable to pay its debts. So those are the 3 instances that can be floated and it be concluded that this company is unable to pay its debts. Look at the paper of May 2019. May 2019, question 2B. Question 2B inasema, in the context of debt capital, outline 4 remedies of debenture holders if the company defaults. The company defaults. Now, these are what we have called other rights. So the debenture holders can run to court and sue that you have refused to pay them. Number 2, they can order that you be stopped from selling your assets. They can appoint a receiver to manage the assets. They can also order that the company be closed because it is unable to pay. So those are the remedies, the avenues. And we could also say they can sell the asset. Part 2 says summarize 3 differences between debentures and shares. I think I gave you 5 or 6 differences between debentures and shares. Still on the same paper, question 7B. Question 7B Roman 2. Question 7B Roman 2. Nasema, explain 3 circumstances when a company will be deemed unable to pay its debts. Tumesema, if the court is satisfied that you can't pay, or the court has already ordered you to pay and you have refused or you are unable to pay, and there is a debt of at least 1,000 that you have not been able to pay 3 weeks since it was demanded. So we call it a day at that point. So we hope to pick up from there in our next lesson. Now from next week, I might be giving you an extra lesson. We will agree on what will be the appropriate time so that we're able to finish the syllabus comfortably. So from next week, I will check my time to see when we can have an extra, require like 6 extra lessons so that will be very safe and to have efficient. Thank you.